Hey lads, I'm going to have to keep this intro very brief because let's keep things real. We're winning the game tomorrow night. We aren't accepting anything less than progression to the quarterfinals of this year's Conference League, and I'm already thinking about our quarterfinal opposition because we're set to play the winners between Molde and Legia Warsaw, with Molde winning the first leg 3-2. You guys are seeing the run-up to the final. It's looking stupidly easy. It's looking very, very attainable. And realistically, I guess we could probably expect to play against Real Betis in this year's finals. So that's pretty much everything I have to say, because in the preview, I want to break down the presser between Enzo Maresca and Levi. A lot of interesting, kind of contextual and insightful things to discuss. Obviously, the predicted lineup, team news, all that good stuff. So my friends, if you're expecting a convincing win tomorrow, hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's get straight into things. Starting with team news, Palmer is back. It seems like he's come back from his number 2 issues. I'm not going to bait out my star guy anymore like my manager did, but that was that was pretty funny, to be honest. Reece James is also back from illness. Nkunku is calm. Nkunku is good too, and it seems like there was a bit of a bug that was hitting these guys last week. Seems to hit a few of these guys harder than others though, but I'm not going to get into that again. Romeo Lavia won't be playing tomorrow, and I think it's quite clear that we are thinking about this guy for the massive game against Arsenal this weekend. So that makes 1,000% sense. Outside of that, of course, Gusto is out injured, which is a bit of a shame. Pretty annoying. And we're expecting to see Madueke, Mark Yu, and Nico Jackson returning back after international breaks. So unless we have a bit of a surprise we're keeping secret, maybe one of these guys might be available for Arsenal, which is looking very unlikely. They're coming back after the Arsenal game, which at least means that for the run up until the season's ends, we should have close to a full strength squad, which is a massive pro and advantage to have right now. So that's the team news out the way. And now we tackle the press conference. We start things off by hearing the key points made today by Enzo Maresca. And naturally, he talks about what to expect tomorrow night against Copenhagen. Now, Maresca did reveal that he was surprised by Copenhagen's approach to the game last week because, as he said, from his analysis with himself and his staff, they've always used a back 4. So they weren't expecting the surprise switch up to a back 5 to basically match us offensively. We saw Leicester do similar things, and it's starting to feel like maybe teams now are coming with some game plans and surprises to catch us off guard. Now, you can't mind read every situation in the future. A lot of times when these things happen in game, which is something you have to be prepared for, because any manager can spring a surprise. You want to see how the players react to these changes, how they find solutions themselves, because remember, the manager can only take the team that far. The players have to do the rest right. So I thought that was pretty interesting that was revealed. I have to say, it makes me feel a little bit humbled after the press conference because, I like to be about context, but you don't always get all the sides, all the details, all the answers when it comes to forming an opinion. But it's something that's food for thought for myself. Maybe in the future, if I have similar critiques, I'm going to think to myself, maybe the opposition came with a surprise that we weren't ready for, hence why the game played out in the manner that it actually played out in. So moving on, we discuss the difficulties between balancing this game against Arsenal. Let's keep things real. Maresca was forever going to say our focus is solely on the game tomorrow night because obviously it has to be. But for myself, I'd like to hope that we can secure the win in the first half, make a lot of substitutions to end the game, to keep legs fresh for the game against Arsenal. And I'm expecting a Copenhagen team that probably won't be using actually they might use a back 5, but how they approach the game will be different because they need to push men forward. They have to attack us if they have any hopes of getting into the quarterfinals, because they have some decent players in their team. So let's see what they do. And for the final interesting point, Maresca was asked about how he sees his style fitting in with how the game is evolving right now. And Maresca started his answer off by saying football is constantly evolving all the time. In the Premier League, All 20 clubs more or less have a different approach in terms of how they want to play. Some are aggressive with a high press, some prefer to stay at the back and play in the transition. For himself, he believes that we are very clear, we try to be aggressive off the ball and we try to control the game. We score when we need to score, we defend when we need to defend. In this moment, statistically, it says we are the second or third best attacking team in the Premier League right now, but for sure, we can attack better and we can defend better. And listen, our last 2 games haven't been the most exciting games, but as I keep saying, we can't be too cynical. We can't have this like ridiculous short-term memory where we can lie to ourselves and act like this has been the football we've seen for 90% of the season, because that hasn't been the case. Remember what you guys were commenting, for example, a few months back during that amazing run of form we were on. You know, you have these types of dips throughout the season, and maybe we have to accept that right now it's all about the refinement of our game, how we improve the details off the ball, on the ball, in defense, in attack, in possession. There's only details we can improve upon and improve upon and improve upon, but at least we have a bit of a base now. We've seen enough this season to know what the football can look like in full flight and what it can look like when it's struggling. So we can only hope our struggles can improve as time goes on. But I have to say, based on what I've seen from Maresca, I've said this constantly about the thing I like about him, and that is Enzo's adaptability. He has really introduced an element of adaptability quite a lot. Let's not forget, during that great run of form, we were finding lots of unique solutions and game plans to cut through the opposition. So right now, let's see what Levi Colwill had to say in the presser today. And today, Levi was fully eulogizing Enzo Maresca, fully backing and supporting his manager. He said about Enzo Maresca that he's light years ahead as a coach earlier during the season. He was asked to elaborate on his opinions and thoughts again. And Colwill went into detail. He praised Maresca for his style of play, but how he teaches the squad every single day. He's saying the players are really taking well to Maresca, his coaching, his ideas, and his training sessions, and everyone feels like they'll get better and better under him. So, that's one thing we've seen consistently, is that we can't say that the team haven't been backing their manager. Colwill went on to say that he loves Enzo's ideas, his football, and how these ideas complement his game. He said that in training, for example, he praised how his tactics in games help break down the opposition. And that makes sense, because during that great run of form we were on, like only a few months back, people cynically, in hindsight, had this new opinion that actually this was Pochettino football that was still embedded in the team. They still had Poch DNA, and this had nothing to do with Enzo Maresca. Sorry, that is just cynical fan opinion. That is not correct, and that's not fair. You can't pick and choose, yeah? You have to be consistent. Maresca was adaptable in terms of how we found solutions in those games. And that's been one key thing that's been consistent with his managing this season. Through highs, through lows. Even now, yeah, the games ain't been exciting. I've been saying it myself. I've been a bit bored. But I can get it. And it doesn't reflect the entirety of our season. And at least it shows that Enzo isn't afraid to prioritize results over anything else, which you have to do sometimes, which I can accept. But yeah, it was I guess quite nice to hear from the players' side that they're fully much in support of the manager. I think there's enough in Maresca to feel like we can get better under him. He can grow himself. He can improve himself as a manager. He's not a 60-year-old. He's still quite young and relatively new to managing, even at this level. So I think more can come from him and this team. And to be honest with you, I'm past that point right now, my guys, where, a new manager comes in, does something different, and we become 10 times better overnight. I've just realized from just being in this cycle time and time again, that if you're not going to back a manager with patience for his ideas to grow and develop, you're never going to get anywhere. And that's been the common mistake we've made for years now. So if Enzo's the next one to have the baton in his hands, let this guy finish a race first so we can really assess if he's the right guy or not. And to end with the final thing too, Colwill also reiterated the point about the players being surprised by Copenhagen's approach to the game last week, by also mentioning the fact that, this is part of the game. you are going to be sprung with surprises. And it is up to the players to find solutions during these difficult times and these moments. And at least we can say that we did find the solutions. They weren't the sexiest ones, but we found them eventually in the end. So that's the press out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions on this. We have quite a lot of insightful discussion between Enzo and Levi colwill. How did you guys feel about the presser today? Let us know below. Right now for the predicted lineup. Here's the lineup I'm going for. I'm going for Neto up front. In behind him, Nkunku, Palmer, Tyreek George down the right side. Midfield of Caicedo and Enzo, and a defense of Cucurella. I've gone for Benoit, I've gone for Jalaba, I've gone for Achimpong, and I've gone for Jorgensen. For me, this team reflects rotation whilst keeping strong players in the team. And my hope is that this team is strong enough to seal the game in the next 45 to 60 minutes, which allows Maresca to turn towards the bench, introduce a lot of subs, and keep these legs as fresh as possible for the game against Arsenal this weekend. I don't think it's going to hurt if, let's say, Caicedo and Enzo playing together, are picking up another win together, and they're taking that confidence forwards against Arsenal this weekend. That could work for Neto, that can work for Palmer, that can work for Caicedo and Enzo and Cucurella as well. I do feel like maybe we have to see some rotation in defense. I know that Reece James can play. Would it surprise me if he does play? It wouldn't. And I'm sure that it makes sense for him to start. But I'm only picking my lineup, and I feel like with Arsenal being such a big game, I want to have a fully fit and firing Reece James for that game. I don't want him to even have any possibility of getting any slight knocks or injuries or nothing like that. Listen, Achimpong is good enough to play against Copenhagen, especially down that right side. I think the defense of Jalaba and Benoit, listen, ideally I go for Levi colwill, but again, I'm resting him for the game against Arsenal. Benoit, he needs to get minutes. He looked decent against Copenhagen in the first leg. And having that pace alongside Jalaba should allow us to have a really high, defensive line, which is going to be key for us when it comes to pressing and closing down Copenhagen on our very tight and compact pitch. So we have a benefit there. But for the main first team guy, Cucurella, a shame that I can't really rotate him for no one else. He is so key for us in terms of how we're playing this season. And if Nkunku's playing down the left side where he can operate in that left pocket, you need a Cucurella who can hug the touchline further up the field and also support the midfield by inverting as well. So he's going to be key for us to allow Enzo to hopefully get forward alongside Cole Palmer. And you like to think with the attacking quality, with the hard work and determination and really intelligent movement of Pedro Neto up front. I mean, he's really been a great alternative to Nico Jackson, to the point that it's actually a bit disappointing. Actually, well, it's not in the sense that it's Maresca's fault or nothing like that, but just in the sense that we had a pretty unique solution this entire time that maybe could have offered us some help when Nico was running out of steam, when he was getting tired in the 60th minute. Because with Pedro Neto, you know that you can maintain that intensity. And I think we'd have a few more points maybe, as we did lose a few games near the end when the high pressing stuff did lose some steam. So that's definitely food for thought. But, it's still a learning experience, right? The manager doesn't know the players perfectly like that. And sometimes you only learn more about the squad during these difficult times and these difficult moments. But yeah, man, I feel like this team with Tyreek George, I think having to play, he has to play against Copenhagen tomorrow. It's nice to see this kid getting assists and slowly growing more confident. Hopefully he can get a goal. I'm waiting for Tyreek to bag his first goal. But this could allow Sancho and Co, of course, to just get ready for the game against Arsenal. So that's my lineup, my friends. What are you guys thinking? Let us know below. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you tomorrow, match day, watch along, all that good stuff, as I'm expecting us to beat Copenhagen. Hence why you're seeing my score prediction being 3-1. I feel like we are going to get some goals. I think Copenhagen, of course, will probably get a goal. It'll be quite end-to-end at times, but then this will be the opportunity where we can seal the game off and seal it quickly in time for Arsenal this weekend. So what do you guys think? Let us know below, and see you tomorrow. Cool.